This is black face paint. This is the darkest shade of the Youthforia foundation.
They need that color because they genuinely don't care for dark-skinned people, and in their minds they are also just as ignorant to think that there are no undertones, right? Like, it's, I don't know what else, like, it's actually dehumanizing. Youthforia, count your days, because what you did was violent. You guys will never see success. You will never see success. You will never make it. You will never make it in this life. You will not.
You don't have future here. You don't have future. You can never make it. Think about your life. You are a failure. You can never make it.
Sometimes it don't make no sense. Does it really have to? There is nothing I can say.
Hi, welcome to Mayowa's world. Hi y'all, so I wanted to make my own video talking about Youthforia and the colorism that is going on right now, girl. So Youthforia is a brand that sells makeup and makeup shades. People have called out Youthforia for the fact that they don't have inclusive shades for dark-skinned people. Their darkest shade, like a couple months ago, their darkest shade was not dark at all.
This is the darkest shade. It's the alleged.
Did not include dark-skinned people at all. So a lot of people were talking about, why would you be a makeup line and you're not able to carry dark-skinned people's makeup? So they just released a new shade that is in shades, I think it's called shades 600, which is pretty much just black paint. It's literally just black paint. There are no undertones to it, and it's literally just black paint. And there are so many dark skin creators who have tried this shade. There's so many deep dark skin people who have tried this shade to show that it is literally just black paint. One of the creators that I really like to watch online, her name is Colorism, and she put a shade match on her face to just show that it's literally blackface.
Which side of my face is the black face paint or the Youthforia foundation? This is black face paint. This is the darkest shade of the Youthforia foundation. A few months ago, I tried the darkest shade of the Youthforia foundation. This is what it looked like on me.
Other people who I've seen have also put the shade on their face to show that, once again, it is blackface. And there are people who are not dark skinned who are like, well, I'm just sure that there's someone whose complexion is that color.
This is blackface paint. This is the foundation. I get that the undertones are gray, but I'm 99.9% sure that I've seen like extremely dark-skinned black people, because, you know,
that shade literally has no undertones. It has no other colors added to it. And a creator really spoke about this perfectly, about how like there's literally no other undertones.
Youthforia's latest foundations. If you look here at the bottom of the ingredient list, you'll notice 3 different colors. Stay with me now. The CI stands for color index, and it basically represents titanium white, red, and yellow iron oxides. Pretty much the only colors you need to make a lighter shade of foundation. But then if we look at their darkest shade, the ingredient list tells a different story. Here there's only one pigment, CI77499, which is just black iron oxide.
I've seen a lot of people who are literally not black and not dark skinned trying to say, well, like, I've definitely seen people who are that color. I think it's strange when deep dark skinned people are telling you that this is not correct, and you guys who don't experience what it's like to not find your shade want to try and tell them that you've seen someone in an image one time who was that color. I don't know why non-black people want to speak for dark-skinned people. I think that I'm gonna let people like Gloria lead the way and trust that when I see other people who are deep dark skin saying that that is not a shade match, I'm gonna trust them and not say, oh, I've seen something one time in a video or in a picture. Like, I feel like there's also this like thing, like this almost like infantilizing them, like they're not able to realize that like does not work. You're just low-key doing work for the brand by trying to justify that you've seen someone that color to like justify why they made that color. They made that color because they genuinely don't care for dark-skinned people, and in their minds they are also just as ignorant to think that there are no undertones, right? Like, it's, I don't know what else, like it's actually dehumanizing the way that they don't feel like the lack of being able to see and like work with people who are actually dark skinned. Like, you could have just hired multiple people who could have helped you, but no, you wanted to release this. And I really hope that your brand, I hope the Youthforia brand crash and burns. Like, And I know that when it comes to makeup, like some people are like, oh, but this is just makeup. Like, why does it matter that much? Why do you expect deep dark skinned people to not have the same level of care and like the same level of resources as other people? There are people who genuinely just like the art form of makeup through forms of expression. Like for myself, I really enjoy makeup because I like colors and I like exploring and expressing myself. And I'm aware of the privileges that I have within my complexion because although I identify as dark skin, I know that I am not the same complexion as someone like Gloria. I also want to emphasize that this is a colorism issue. People need to stop saying that this is only a racial issue because there are Black people who are not dark skinned and have never experienced colorism. This is specifically targeting people who are dark skinned, especially people who are deep dark skinned. There are many Black people who have always been able to get their shade range and have no issue. It's a colorism issue because there's messaging that tells us that we are always at the bottom of the barrel and that our voices don't matter. It's also an intentional messaging that dark-skinned people are never included in the images of beauty. Makeup symbolizes who society sees as beautiful. So what happens when you're constantly reminded that you are not beautiful? When you are constantly made to feel like no one will ever cater to you and they will only cater to you if you complain and publicly call them out. Dark-skinned people are deserving of the same resources as everybody else. If there's 45 shades of whiteness, why can there not be 45 shades of dark-skinned people? There's also a flattening that happens where people don't think that dark-skinned people have depth, not only when it comes to makeup, but even on an intellectual level or a personality level. We are constantly rendered like we are a monolith. And even for myself, like I wasn't really able to start wearing foundations like in a serious way until not that long ago, maybe like 10 years ago. While there are people who are able to wear makeup from a really, really young age, like they were able to explore it because their shades have always been around. I remember when makeup brands did not come with my shade. And another thing I also remember is I feel like it's really normal I feel like it's normalized to expect dark-skinned people to paint their makeup or do their makeup in a way that makes them look lighter. Similar when I talk about how filters and stuff naturally just lightens your skin and makes your nose look smaller, is also that same thing when it comes to makeup of wanting to paint your skin in a way that isn't authentic or isn't real to your actual complexion. I remember when I was living in Nigeria and I would go to a lot of supermarkets and I would see the color range that they would even sell in Nigeria and how like it would literally be light colors, like light complexions. It would not come into super deep dark skin colors. And I think it's because a lot of people are using makeup to look lighter. So it's matching what you would like to look like. And, even when you see a lot of wedding photos or like wedding videos of people getting their makeup done, especially in a lot of African countries, they're going to be getting their makeup done in a way where it's literally making them look like a complexion that they're not. And I feel like that is all fueled by colorism and this expectation that we should want to be lighter than we are. So when you see people like Gloria, who is showing that this is not match me, and like it's important to not just check for your color, but to check for darker people every single time. That's really bold work. Like when I see her work, I can only imagine how hard it is, because for me, I actually have a lot of like getting foundation is really difficult for me. That's why if I find foundation, I'll just stick to it. Because the idea of having to like go and experience like not finding the right shade or not knowing your right shade or like all of that is going to be a lot more anxiety inducing for dark skinned people because we just haven't had that. I remember I had a conversation with Grace Jones about this, and I remember Grace Jones was saying that, I'm just dropping that I had a conversation with Grace Jones. But when I was 21, I was in a club. I went to a party and Grace Jones was there. It was like her brother's party. And we had like an hour-long conversation about colorism. But I remember her talking about how when she started doing her makeup, there wasn't her shade. And she would literally have to use black pencil and just use black as contours and stuff. And that's why there's a lot of contour. When you look at Grace Jones's face, she uses a lot of contour because she had to makeshift her makeup. And I can only imagine how difficult that is, because you are literally doing more. You're now having to be a chemist. You're now having to be a creative director. You're having to think so much harder about what colors match you just because you're dark skinned. And like I said, the darker you are, the harder it's going to be. Every single time I get makeup, I literally see if there's multiple shades darker than me, because that's what it means to stand up and show up for dark skinned people. I'm not going to buy no makeup that isn't going to have someone who's darker than me shade. My goal isn't to be I know I'm not the darkest person. If I look at makeup and I'm the darkest shade, what's supposed to happen to people who are darker than me? There's so many people in the world who are darker than me. So what are they supposed to be doing? You're not putting thought into it. And I feel like that's how we really, you know, show up for each other. Is like we don't purchase things from brands. We don't purchase makeup from brands that don't actually want to include the darkest people in the collection. And also how, you know, do they show them in the forefront? And like take somebody like me, I'm never gonna forgive Tarte. I'm never going to forgive them because when they had that makeup range and it was terrible, I know they're trying to rebrand and fly people out to wherever, Mexico, and try and get them to use the makeup to rebrand themselves. The North remembers. I am a really unforgiving person. If you do that one time, I'm never going to mess with you. That's why for me, you know, when Rihanna had her shade range, I was living in Germany at the time. And that was the first time I was able to get my foundation in Germany. I was not able to get my foundation until Fenty. And I was living there in like my whole 20s and stuff. So it was a really emotional moment for me. I work as a model when I was like in my early to mid 20s. Problematic. Modeling is, yeah, I have a lot of thoughts about modeling in a negative way. And I remember I did a runway show and there was a makeup artist. He was a white guy. And he was doing everyone's makeup and he was not wanting to do my makeup at all. And I wasn't understanding, like, why is he not able to do my makeup? When I tell you this man did my makeup and painted me, I look like Michael Jackson. If that video or that image ever releases where he did my makeup and I look like I'm painted white, I'm simply gonna perish. Like I'm gonna melt. I was so embarrassed. I literally cried after the runway when I saw how he did my makeup and he literally painted me white. I was so embarrassed I had to go out there and do a runway looking this way. And he had waited until the last minute to where like I wasn't able to go back and fix anything. And I did the runway and people were like literally looking at my face because my neck was obviously a severely different color. And I was just like, this was just so embarrassing. And that was one of the last, I'm like, after experiencing all these little things, I'm like, yeah, modeling is really violent. But anyway, I can only imagine how people who are darker than me feel. Youthforia, count your days. Count your days because what you did was violent and I will never buy from you. And I hope all people watching never want to buy from them because why would you go and put black paint in a can? Why would you go and do that? You guys will never see success. You will never see success. You will never see it. You will never make it. You will never make it in this life. You will not.
You don't have future here. You don't have future. You can never make it. Think about your life. You are a failure. You are a failure. You can never make it.
And I'm going to see to it. You will not. And I'm not supporting people who don't center deep dark skinned people in their makeup line. Yeah, I'm not. So yeah, thanks for watching. Have a great day. Bye.